gonna do? The old green is always on the sea, and what you're always bring to life again. So get ready, get ready, 'cause here they come.
All right, welcome aboard, everybody. Happy Friday. It's the NFL Picks segment brought to you by friends at Box Drop Syracuse and Bayberry Automotive. Only 2 games to pick this weekend as we have made it all the way to championship weekend. We'll break them down, talk about them, and make our picks. Find out from Boy Green in a little bit the standings and who even has a chance with so few games left. Some of us may already be, as they say, out in the cold and making our picks just for, dare I say, foolish pride. But before we get to our NFL picks, I do want to hit on a couple of the big issues of the week because, man, the NFL has been full of news, and we have an NFL insider that joins us every week for our NFL picks from Between the Hash Marks on Substack. He's the founder of that. He's also an NFL insider, and you see him down there on, Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Let's welcome in the one, the only Mr. Matt Lombardo. How are you, sir?
Doing great, guys. I'm a little bit worried, though. I'm supposed to fly out to Mobile for the Senior Bowl on Monday. The problem is, here in the greater Philadelphia region, we're expecting anywhere from 16 to 19 inches of snow on Sunday night. So hoping we get to the beignets at some point.
Maybe you better move that flight to Thursday in Philly. In Syracuse, we'll be ready to go by Tuesday, but, in Philly, it might be Thursday or Friday by the time they figure out where to put all that darn snow and if they've even got any salt or whether they're throwing that crazy sand down on the roads, which isn't any good for anybody other than, getting all over your car. All right, there are some newsy things that I want to hit, as I mentioned, gentlemen, before we get to NFL picks, so indulge us, if you would, audience. First of all, I want to wrap up with you, Matt, and get your take on the Sean McDermott firing in Buffalo and then the follow-up press conference with Terry Pegula, the owner, and Brandon Beane, which was more like kind of undressing on the air for all the problems that are going on with the Buffalo Bills. What'd you think of the whole sitch? Wrap it in a nice, neat bow. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that there's an owner this side of Jerry Jones who so openly wanted to turn off any prospective head coaching candidate from taking that job. Because to me, I put the firing of Sean McDermott over on a shelf, right? Because when you have a generational talent, arguably one of the top 3 quarterbacks of his era in Josh Allen, and you don't even have a Super Bowl to show for it, and you talk about the final 13 seconds meltdown with Patrick Mahomes, you talk about not getting off the field on 3rd and 11 against the Broncos as a defensive-minded head coach. If you don't get to a Super Bowl, I can understand the firing, right? But when you're sitting there and you're asked about Keon Coleman, who's a wide receiver on your roster, on your team, and you have Brandon Beane sitting next to you trying to answer for that pick, and Pegula just steps over him, no, that was a Sean McDermott pick, and starts talking down Keon Coleman like he's some sort of, piece of human garbage. I don't know who would want to go and coach there and work for that owner, let alone where you go with Keon Coleman. You might have to trade him or cut him after that. It was just, that press conference to me was a disaster unfolding on live television.
And what was so bizarre, Matt, was Keon Coleman's name was not in the question. They were just asking about basically the ineptitude of the receivers. And then literally the owner said, the Keon issue. It's just like, what? What Keon issue? Like we all know about it, but you didn't have to out the poor guy who's still on your roster and getting paid. That was really, really out there. Go ahead, BG.
Yeah, and just a quick follow-up on that. Despite all that craziness from Pegula, from the outside, we all looked at the Buffalo. Wow, this is a well-put-together organization. They've done just about as good a job as anyone over the last decade of being a relevant, consistent product. Again, he had that weird thing at the beginning, 2525747. Does anybody know what that means? I asked a question, and everyone's like, no, we don't. What are those, the Powerball numbers tonight? No, I don't know what the hell that is. The seeds of how we've done. We don't do something like that without talent. And it was just, that was strange. But the question is that, like, despite all that craziness, the job is still incredibly attractive. You got the reigning friggin' MVP at quarterback in Josh Allen. But the problem is the timing of this firing. They're already out on several coaching candidates that have already agreed to new places. John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski. The Matt LaFleur thing is over. He's extended. And Robert Saleh, Jeff Hafley, all these guys are off the board. Who the hell is going to be the head coach of the Buffalo Bills? I don't question the attractiveness. I just question who's it going to be.
Yeah, I think that, Brian Dable has to be considered the clubhouse leader there because him and Josh Allen are incredibly close. He was instrumental in the formative development of Josh Allen's career in the early years. We saw how disastrous Dable was as a head coach of the New York Giants, but I think this is a unique situation with Josh Allen being in place. But I just want to touch on this whole situation, another layer of this onion, if you will. These half measures of keeping the general manager and then trying to find a head coach that you shoehorn into a working relationship, it feels like a fool's errand, especially there, because everybody can see the owner jumped all over the general manager to point it out that their blind spot with this historically great quarterback has been wide receiver with a general manager who last year spent 3 of their first 4 picks on front 7 defenders. So you look at what happened in New York, and the Giants hired John Harbaugh, but they keep Joe Schoen only in the final negotiations that became protracted for about 4 extra days, only to have Joe Schoen's power neutered to the point that John Harbaugh answers to John Mara rather than answering to Joe Schoen. I don't see how this is going to be any different with Brandon Beane. If you're Terry Pagula, if you're the Bills, wipe the slate clean. No half measures. Hire a general manager and let that general manager hire a coach. Work alongside Josh Allen to do it, but I just don't see how you look at Sean McDermott's coaching record, put alongside Brandon Beane's general manager record and the lack of talent on that roster this year and say that McDermott had to go, but Beane can stay. It just seems like a half measure that's going to blow up in their face regardless of who they bring in there.
Let me shift to another quick piece of news with you, Matt, and that is the open head coaching vacancy in Cleveland. And the fact that we are seeing, I think we've been starting to kind of see this the last couple of years. Guys going sideways rather than stepping up to a head coaching job because the fear of failure and never getting another chance. And so the Browns, they're getting some people to basically say, I don't really want to talk with you, even though I'm offering you a head coaching job and you don't have one right now or you're an assistant coach. So we're seeing choosiness become part of the formula here, at least for the coaches who consider themselves the better coaches. Give me a thought on that, crazy.
And by the way, the 2 names for people that may not know is Mike McDaniel was offered a second interview, was an in-person interview with Cleveland. Hey, come on into Yeah, right. Yeah, he's like, no, thanks. I'll be a charge OC. Although he's still interviewing for head coaching jobs, which is technically a promotion, which is super confusing to the general audience. But more on that perhaps later. And then the second guy was Jesse Minter. He said thanks, but no thanks. And he took the Ravens head coaching job instead. So yeah, the Browns have been rejected twice, and now there's a lot of jokes on social media about him here, Matt.
Yeah, I was talking to an agent about this last week who represents obviously NFL players and has his finger on the pulse of the coaching market because he has a couple of coaching clients as well. And he told me, quote, he doesn't speak to that organization on behalf of his guys, that there are 31 teams in his opinion because that organization is the most toxic organization in sports, unquote. So, when you start hearing things like that from people who move the chess pieces around the board, that the Cleveland Browns aren't even an option, that just goes to show you just how toxic ownership is, just how toxic that franchise is from top to bottom. And you're seeing it play out that way, where Mike McDaniel doesn't want the prestige of being a head coach, doesn't want the untold tens of millions of dollars of being a head coach, and he would rather run off to go call plays with Justin Herbert. Now, that shows you how highly the NFL thinks of Justin Herbert, that he's a top 5, top 10 quarterback in this league. It's a better situation than being the head coach of the Browns. But there are only 32 of these jobs. There's only so much prestige, and these are ego-driven individuals, NFL head coaches. You don't pass up those opportunities unless you think that it is where your career is going to die. And it seems like that's what Cleveland has become. And look how quickly Kevin Stefanski got hired. He was the first coach to put pen to paper this hiring cycle after being in Cleveland. So the stench of Cleveland didn't hurt the reputation of Kevin Stefanski, but it certainly is hurting the Browns' chances of getting a replacement.
Quick comment, Matt, on the hiring of Jesse Minter by the Ravens. Is that a good fit, you think? Interesting. It's a Harbaugh tree guy. I mean, he was the defensive coordinator for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan not too long ago. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you fire one guy to hire the guy that he taught. It's not the culture change that we were promised, right? It's not the course correction you thought you were going to get. Mike McDaniel, I've been told, interviewed really well there. And you think about Mike McDaniel and what he was able to do with Tua and the speed they had in Miami, would have been a terrific fit in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers and the pieces they have in place there. Rashad Bateman and Derrick Henry as a hammer in the backfield. Not sure why they didn't go offensive minded to kind of get the most out of their two-time MVP quarterback, but here we are. It's a defensive-minded head coach and a Harbaugh disciple. Scratch my head a little bit at that move, but we'll see how it works out.
All right, let's do a deep dive into this here. Again, at Between the Hash Marks, there's a lot of things cooking, and there's nothing more than I love to hear about the successes and confetti and everything about the New England Patriots and their wonderful head coach, Mike Vrabel. And Matt, I understand you spent some time and a lot of your reporting and sourcing into diving into what a remarkable turnaround it has been for the New England Patriots. But there's a lot of detractors. I can't think of one on this show, but there are a lot of detractors out there that would say, you may get a sugar high from this cupcake schedule of the New England Patriots. Matt Lombardo, you may have something different to say about that.
Yeah, what's really interesting, and Paul, thanks. I know that I'm talking to one of these people who would rather, shove a stick through their eye than read about the Patriots' rapid turnaround. But I spoke to an executive in the AFC who told me that the soft schedule is part of the equation here because it allowed them to build their confidence as they went along, as Drake May went through his first season in Josh McDaniels' system. It allowed Kayshon Boutte to kind of rise to the moment and get his confidence. Trayvon Henderson to really pick up steam as the season went along. But I think that really, when you talk to people about the New England Patriots, when you talk to agents who represent players, the bargain always was you were going to, quote, trade years off of your career. You were going to trade happiness for stress for winning Super Bowl rings. That was the bargain of going to play for Bill Belichick. But in the span of a calendar year, you've watched Mike Vrabel take the Patriot way and evolve it into the Vrabel standard. You've taken all of the things that were so grating about playing for Bill Belichick and how strict it was up there for the things that you needed in terms of focusing on fundamentals and drilling down in practice and those sort of things, for a head coach who stands in the locker room, outside the locker room door every game, win or lose, to dap up every player as they come off the field after a win, offer a hug and console them after a loss. That doesn't look performative. And I've been around NFL locker rooms my entire career, spent every day covering the Eagles for 5 seasons, the Giants 3 seasons. That's not normal. You don't see head coaches do that. That's how you build a culture. And I spoke to former Patriot Matt Chatham, spoke to executives and scouts around the league about, from what's happening between the lines, between the hash marks, if you will, in terms of elevating the Patriots' level of play. But it really comes down to Mike Vrabel changed the culture. Elliot Wolf brought in the personnel that fits his mold, and that's why they're kind of building something there that unfortunately, Paul, looks like it could be sustainable.
Well, let's quickly, everybody, please. This is very serious. Let's have a quick moment of silence for the multi-year rebuild the New England Patriots had to endure between potential dynasties and the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. God bless America. So I'm glad we could share that moment for the suffering New England Patriot fans. Yeah.
All right, today's broadcast, it's the Man Child Show with Boyd Green Digital at MC Show Digital, our handle on YouTube. Don't forget to pop that subscribe button and be part of it. Our NFL picks are coming up next 2 games. We're going to break them down in their entirety and make our final picks. We'll also reveal the standings, who still has a chance to win this whole thing. Today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive and Box Drop Syracuse. We'll be right back.
Trust is everything when it comes to auto repairs. At Bayberry Automotive, they take trust seriously. Bayberry has a team of experienced and certified mechanics that are dedicated to providing exceptional customer service. And Bayberry stands behind its work with an exceptional 5-star rating from its many satisfied customers. Family run, integrity in everything. Bayberry Automotive, BayberryAutomotive.com.
Located on Route 57 across from Bayberry Plaza, the premier choice for auto repair in Liverpool.
Considering that we sleep nearly 1/3 of our lives, buying the right mattress is essential. At Box Drop Syracuse Mattress and Sofa Outlet, you'll get a unique experience one that saves you 30 to 70% off retail prices on top-of-the-line mattresses like Sapphire Sleep. At Box Drop, you'll schedule a mattress fitting appointment and get one-on-one service directly with Paul, the owner. No middleman. Family-owned, huge savings, no-pressure sales designed to save you time and money. And now Box Drop Syracuse has sectional sofas and love seats as well, with prices designed to fit your budget. Box Drop Syracuse mattress and sofas. Set up your appointment today at boxdropsyracuse.com.
All right, we are back. NFL picks segment. Boy Green, let me hand it over to you. We got to get some standings up here, see what happened last week, and who still has a chance at this thing, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, before that, I just want to say, coming off that beautiful Box Drop commercial, after that, sterling, soliloquy from Matt Lombardo, I just want to, sort of muffle myself with one of those beautiful pillows until I stop breathing after hearing that about the Patriots. But that's neither here nor there. Let's open up a window. Autumn wind. Isn't it beautiful? Well, we're going to show you two images on the screen, folks. What just happened over the divisional weekend, and then what has been the playoff picture as a whole. Without further ado, let's go to this. 4-0. Boy Green, never getting anything wrong at the top. The crown is his, and 2 games better than any of you other people in the divisional round. Beautiful. But Matt Lombardo, 2-2. Joe Bartle, 2-2. PFF, 2-2. Internet, 1-3. But what? Manchild fans 0-4? The old stinker? The old Ofer?
Ofer.
Hurts, man. That hurts. Ooh, that hurts.
Man. And for me and you, Lurch, to go Oppo apparently on all picks. And
Yes,
one of
we
us
did.
goes 4-0, one of us goes 0-4. Oh, boy.
Doesn't happen very often, but it did.
I appreciate that it did. So, folks, that takes us to the overall standings. And now we only have 3 games left. The AFC Championship game, the NFC Championship game, the Super Bowl. And sorry, Lurch, I'm sure you'd love those Pro Bowl mini games to count for a series of games. Not sure we're going to have to require that this season, which takes us to the overall standings. 9-1 playoffs.
Look at him.
And you know what? I would have been 10-0 if those Bills would have choked like they should have against Jacksonville, and I wouldn't have had a game wrong, baby. So that's terrific. Which means, hey, Matt, it's a 2-horse race, baby.
2-horse
to
race.
determine
Let's
who is
go.
winning these playoffs. I'm 9-1. You're 7-3. Manchild is holding that bronze medal at 5-5.
Still in third after that awful week. I'm proud.
But he is clutching it with every fiber of his being, because Joe Bartle's there at 4-6, PFF 3-7, Fans 3-7, and then Intern Ed. Isn't that great? After dominating the regular season, all the Intern Ed over there, little 2-8. I'm sure Lurch would have preferred that to happen to the regular season, so if that's, he would have been eliminated from future picks, but not the case, I'm afraid. So, Matt, it'll be down to me and you as we're calling these games here. You need to fight back into it, but with 3 games left to go, I go 0-3, you go 3-0. You've won our playoff pick, so it is all possible, all there in the universe. So we'll see.
All right, let's get after it. We start in Denver, the Mile High City, and the Broncos are home for this one. They're not favorites. No, they are 4.5-point underdogs, and that's because there's been a little development. Bo Nix, on a play that we can't even remember at this point, broke his ankle, and he's done. And now, Jared Stidham, who hasn't thrown a meaningful pass in 2 full seasons in the NFL, but we have seen him before. He's been holding a clipboard very, very well and taking notes, apparently. And Sean Payton has all the confidence in the world in him. But Vegas doesn't, which is why they made Denver 4.5-point underdogs against the surging New England team. I agree with Boy Green, this New England team. Who have they played? Who have they played? And now they get another break here in the title game that could get them to the Super Bowl, where they face a backup quarterback who hasn't played in 2 years, hasn't thrown a pass during the regular season in 2 full seasons. Wow, wow, and wow. All right, I'll get myself out of the way on this one right out of the box, gentlemen. I just have been going against New England and going against New England and going against New England. And where's it getting me? It's getting me nowhere. They're sitting here, and they're on the precipice of going to the Super Bowl. So let me get on the bandwagon before it ends. I'm taking the Patriots. I'll give the 4.5. Sean Payton can mouth off as much as he wants about how Stidham's going to be ready, and the whole offense is going to be installed, and life is great. This guy hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL in 2 years. I repeat it again, in 2 seasons. There's no way I'm putting my faith in that guy over Drake May and what that New England team has looked like so far. New England in a landslide. Boy Green, you're next.
Yeah, Matt Lombardo might have to update that column with this big game on the slate and the cupcake schedule narrative. Yeah, may have to update that for sure. Let's go to the experts. Intern Ed, New England Patriots. Joe Bartle, New England Patriots. Dalton Wasserman is going with the Denver Broncos. I will say this. While it does seem to favor New England in a lot of respects, for people who don't know, there is a whole backstory to Sean Payton's man crush for Jarrett Stidham. When he had Russell Wilson, he outbid other teams to make sure he secured Jarrett Stidham. And again, I'm not denying the stats that Lord said. 2 years of no meaningful passes and all that stuff, that's all 100% true. But Sean Payton once went 5-0 with legendary former Jets quarterback Teddy Bridgewater when he needed a replacement for Drew Brees. So he has operated with time when he's had quarterbacks from his system, and they're at home. It's Denver. I'm going with the Broncos, and I'm taking the beautiful points I'm being given, but I think Denver's going to straight up win this game and punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. And I think Sean Payton is going to show a masterclass of why don't rush to conclusions. I'm the offensive genius, and I can concoct game plans here. And he's got a Super Bowl defense, no question. And if Jarrett Stidham can just try to make some of those game-winning plays that Bo Nix makes at the end of games, he's going to the Super Bowl, baby. Give me Denver.
Go ahead.
There's a huge difference between Bo Nix, first-round pick, comfortable in the offense, clutch, mobile, than, as Mike Tanier on the Between the Hashmarks podcast put it with Jarrett Stidham, an offensive coordinator wearing a helmet. Guys, the only way that I can see the Broncos winning this game is if they run the ball like 40, 45 times, they keep Drake May off the field, they shorten the game. Here's the problem. They don't run the ball well. They're getting J.K. Dobbins back. I understand that. But they're only averaging 118 yards on the ground per game, 16th in the NFL, middle of the pack. The Patriots' rushing defense, 5th in the league, holding teams to just 101.7 yards per game. So you're looking at weakness against strength. What do the Broncos do best? They rush the passer. They create havoc. They blitz you like crazy. Drake May has the highest passer rating in the league against pressure at 130.7. You're talking about strength against strength. I just look at this Patriots team. They're clicking on all cylinders. The defense is rising to the moment. Drake May is playing above his head. It continues. They win by this by at least a touchdown. Give me the Patriots here. I'm with Lurch.
All right. He's given the points. He's sticking with me, and a chance for him to pick one up here on Boy Green. Very vital in this moment. By the way, that game, 3 o'clock on Sunday on CBS. So you'll get lots of Jim, which I like.
Oh, great.
I like that.
Sure.
All right. Anyway, the 6:30 game on Fox as the Seattle Seahawks in their domain, that loud 12th man will be sitting in the stands. Seattle -2.5 against my pick in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl. My AFC team already gone.
Yeah, I was about to say, where's your AFC team?
Sayonara. But I still got those Rams. I still got to get those Rams to that Super Bowl to have some level of respectability. And look, as I said, what was it, a week or two ago, maybe 2 weeks ago? So I picked these 3 teams that I didn't think, that I saw cracks in.
Yeah.
And I said, well, some of them won't make it to the Super Bowl. And then you all made fun of me. I got a chance to get 2 out of the 3 knocked out here this week because 2 of them are playing each other, so I already won that one. I got 1. Now 1's getting by, and then this is the other one. I got to get Seattle to lose here. I need Sam Darnold to fold like the cheap suit that he is. So I'm, of course, all over the Rams. I'll give the 2.5. Sean McVay gets himself back to another Super Bowl. The guy that I think should win the MVP this year, Matthew Stafford. We'll see if he does. It'll be a close one between him and Drake May, I'm sure. Votes already in, so we're going to find out sooner rather than later. But the fact of the matter is I've just been on the Rams all year long. I think they possess enough on both sides of the ball, and they've got that cagey quarterback that I think means a lot to a game of this magnitude, and familiarity between these 2 teams as well. They're very, very familiar with each other. I don't think they'll be intimidated playing in that building. They're playing there regularly. So I'm taking the Rams, and I'll take those juicy 2.5 points for me. BG, you're next.
Yeah, I'll go to the experts first. I love seeing that intern Ed agrees with you. He's picking the Rams. He's been He's been a real solid picker in these playoff picks, so that's lovely. He takes the Rams. Joe Bartle, Seahawks. Don't wash them in, Seahawks. I'm going to make this pick short, sweet, and easy, breezy. Folks, I've been all over the Seahawks all year long, and all the chirpers, and I'm not talking about the Seattle birds. I'm talking about the birds up there of man-child land. Wow, wow, wow. This team is going to the Super Bowl, baby. Sammy is going to lead this team, an MVP candidate himself from earlier this year. I'm all over Sam Darnold. They are familiar with the Rams. They've beaten the Rams before, and they will beat their candy asses again. I'm taking the Seahawks to the Super Bowl, baby. And we'll get a Super Bowl rematch. Seahawks Broncos. Let's go.
By the way, it was that defense that once again carried them last week. Sam Darnold continues to skate by. We'll see if he can continue to skate. Matt, an opportunity for you here again. Are you going to take it? Who do you like?
If you remember back when the playoffs first began, I predicted the entire bracket, and I had a Broncos versus Rams Super Bowl. But unlike Lurch, I'm capable of seeing what's unfolding and adapting my selections. And this wasn't Moses coming down with the picks etched in a tablet. You know, we adapt as what we see new information coming each week. And the Rams, I don't love having to come back on the road against Bryce Young in Carolina. I don't love having to pick off Caleb Williams when the Cinderella shoe shatters. I don't love going into Seattle and looking at a team that can run all over you, and you're looking at Sam Darnold making enough throws when he has to, a defense that is stifling, that is opportunistic, that is as physical as it is aggressive, as it is explosive. I like Seattle, and I like the Seahawks in blowout fashion. We're talking a 10-plus boot-to-ass Michael Irvin-style whooping in Seattle, a celebration. Seahawks roll on to the Super Bowl.
How many picks for Darnold in this game?
Stop.
1.
0.
He will give it to the other team, I guarantee it.
Which, by the way, folks, let's cut off the music. Matt's picks guarantees that Boy Green will at least share first place. Oh, okay. That's looping 100 times,
yeah,
there, which I appreciate.
We will have a tiebreaker if we get to that situation for the Super Bowl. The tiebreaker will be score, as we often see in boxes and things.
Oh,
of that
wow.
nature. So
Okay.
All right.
Matt will, of course, because he only went oppo on one of these two games, have to go oppo. So you will have the upper hand, dare I say, Boy Green, with the Super Bowl pick. But if he does go oppo and he wins, then the score will determine our winner.
Okay.
So there still will only be one cheer. So, but yes, you have technically
at least
on the tie line, but ties don't win. It's the W's that win. It's right. It's the W. So T's, no thanks. Not in the third column.
What was the Jameis?
The Jameis Winston?
Yeah, lick your lips. Lick your lips. What's he doing? Something with the crab legs there?
Eating the W, which what he was
Eating
doing
the
for
W.
a pregame speech. Yeah.
All right. So, gentlemen, that will do it for our NFL Picks Championship weekend. Enjoy the games, my friends.
Okay. Should be a good one.